Today, we're going to dive into one of the most powerful and maybe one of the most misunderstood invitations ever given. It all comes from a single verse in the book of Revelation, and we're going to find out what it really means to be called to the marriage supper of the Lamb.
Okay, so let's just park on this verse for a second. The very first thing an angel tells the Apostle John is to write. Now, that's not a suggestion, it's a command. It's like heaven is saying, get this down because this is for the permanent record. And then, just to make sure we're all paying attention, it's bookended with this incredible statement, these are the true sayings of God. This is basically a divine guarantee that what we're about to hear is an absolute core truth.
And here's that truth. The big idea we're going to unpack is that this marriage supper isn't what most of us picture. You know, it's not about some far-off banquet or a big celestial dinner party. It's actually something so much more intimate, so much more personal. It's a marriage proposal.
So before we can even get to the proposal itself, we have to really appreciate the authority behind it. So let's look at the sheer divine weight and the absolute assurance that's packed into this one single command from heaven.
When you really break the verse down, you see these four distinct parts just pop right out. First, that command, write, which tells us this is non-negotiable and permanent. Second, there's this declaration of a blessing for everyone who's called. Third, you've got the main event, the marriage supper. And finally, that divine confirmation. Think of it like God's own signature that authenticates the entire message.
All right, so how do we get from a supper to a marriage proposal? Well, the clues are actually hidden right there in the original Greek language of the text. So let's do a little linguistic detective work and see what we can uncover.
First up is the word for marriage, which is gamos. Now in Greek, this word means so much more than just the wedding party or the feast. It's talking about the whole shebang, the entire marriage covenant, the legal, binding, permanent union itself. So right away, our focus shifts from a temporary party to a forever promise.
Next, we have the word for supper, which is deipnon. And again, this wasn't just any old meal. The deipnon was the main, most important meal of the day, usually taken in the evening. It implies a setting of real intimacy, of close fellowship, not some huge impersonal banquet hall.
Okay, now this next part is so cool. The Greek word used for called is keklemenoi. It's in what's called the perfect tense, which is a way of saying that an action happened in the past, but its results are still going on right now. What does that mean for us? It means this isn't a one-time invitation that you could miss or that could expire. It means that those who have been called remain called. The invitation stands. It's permanent.
So when you start putting those puzzle pieces together, a permanent call to an intimate meal that actually signifies a binding legal covenant, it just forces you to ask a really important question. Is this thing really just about a feast that's going to happen someday in the future?
And the answer to that is a resounding no. As we're about to see, this invitation is about something so much more profound than just a meal.
This idea just reframes the entire concept, doesn't it? The invitation isn't for you to be a guest at a banquet, a temporary observer just watching things happen. No, it's an invitation to be the spouse in a covenant, a permanent partner who is the actual reason for the whole event. The goal isn't just to get a meal, it's to get the groom himself.
And that brings us to the most crucial point of all. The invitation isn't to a location or some future event. It's an invitation into a deep, personal, covenant union with a person, Jesus Christ.
Okay, so if this is a marriage proposal, you have to ask, right? When was this proposal first made? And what was the price of that union? Well, the answer takes us to another very, very famous supper.
This completely changes how we see the Last Supper. It wasn't just a final meal. It wasn't just a somber goodbye. It was the engagement meal. It was the moment the groom officially presented the terms of the marriage covenant to his bride-to-be.
And the terms of this covenant? They're laid out right there in the symbols of the bread and the wine. The bread represents his body, given so that we could become one with him, literally receiving him inside of us. And the wine? That represents his blood, which is the seal on this new covenant, guaranteeing our forgiveness and our permanent union. That was the price of the proposal.
So you see, when Jesus offered that bread and that wine, he was in effect saying this is my proposal. This is the incredible price of our union. Take this, accept it, and become one with me.
So what this means is that this ancient invitation from Revelation isn't just some historical event or something we're all just waiting for in the future. No, it's a personal call that is demanding an answer from each of us, right here
right now. And we see this perfectly pictured in another verse from Revelation, where Jesus says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." This is the personal proposal happening in real time. He isn't barging in. He knocks. He makes an intimate, personal call to an individual. And he says that if anyone opens the door, he will come in and sup with him. That union, that marriage supper, it begins the very moment a person says yes and opens the door.
So when you boil it all down, this is what it comes to. To be called to the marriage supper of the Lamb is to hear the personal, intimate voice of the groom proposing directly to you, saying, "Come, enter into this covenant with me. Come, eat and be mine." So you see, the invitation was never just to a future event. It's to a present relationship. The groom has already paid the ultimate price. The table is open, and that call is permanent and standing. The only question left is the one this verse leaves us all with. How will you respond?